Hello folks, my name is Mark and this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? And this is another video about Donald Trump. Basically, please don't vote for Donald Trump part 2. I already had another video a little whiles back about why I don't like Donald Trump. And I was kind of hoping that by this point in the election cycle he would have given up already. We just had the Iowa caucus on Monday here, and Trump lost, which is actually pretty good news, but at the same time, it's not the crushing defeat I would have loved to have seen. Okay, so in case you haven't been paying attention to the news, and basically what happened was that Trump lost because he's a very bad manager and he makes bad decisions. And what I mean by that is that last week there was the final Republican debate, which was hosted by Fox News, and Trump decided to sit this one out. And the reason why he said that he was going to skip the debate was because he doesn't like Megyn Kelly. So he went to Fox and he basically told them, you know, get rid of Megyn Kelly or else I'm not doing your debate. So Fox told him to go fuck himself, basically. You know, and I'm no fan of Fox News. I think they're fucking basically GOP propaganda, but I'm happy to say that they at least, you know, this was too much even for them and they decided to tell Trump to go, you know, suck up a tree or whatever. So he decided to skip the debate. And, you know, basically he doesn't like Megyn Kelly because she called him out on some misogynist comments that he made, which, you know, basically she just asked him to, like, explain a few quotes that he made about women and stuff like that. And he took that personal. You know, it's like, oh, shit, well, fucking a reporter is actually, like, challenging me on something I fucking said, you know, oh no, right? And I think, you know, that tells me that, you know, think about that for a second, okay? Because when you're the president of the United States, everything you do and say is highly scrutinized, you know. There's people, you know, there's like a 24-hour, like, press corps that just reports on every single thing you do. You know, the president was here today, he was there today, he ate here today, he did this, he appeared there, he said this, he said that. And that's what being the president means, you know, that's part of the job. So if you're gonna, like, flip your shit when somebody, like, you know, when somebody, like, questions you on about something you said, you know, think about that. I mean, how is he supposed to be president and, like, not talk to reporters when they challenge him? You know what I mean? Like, it's very, I don't know, it says to me that it's an incredibly, like, entitled and spoiled attitude, you know. Basically, it's the kind of thing that someone who's been rich their entire lives and has gotten everything they've ever wanted without question their entire life, like, that's how they act, you know. How dare you fucking question me or whatever. So anyway, so he decides that he's gonna skip the debate, right? And it came around to just fucking bite him in the ass. So when you know, the caucus comes around, it turned out that among voters who were undecided, he got, like, something like less than 45%. So the majority of those went to Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, right? And basically, if he would have done the debate, he would have won the caucus, right? So he blew it. And that just kind of shows, it's like, well, you know, what incredibly bad decisions this guy makes. Continuing on about the caucus on Monday, apparently Trump didn't have any ground game at all. And what ground game means, it's a term that, you know, your organization on the ground, your volunteers that go house to house and talk to people, make phone calls for you, try to get your supporters out to go vote, you know, stuff like that. Apparently he didn't, like, bother to do any of that shit, you know. So Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio did. And they have, like, their supporters motivated and out, and they got people to the polls to vote for him. Donald Trump didn't do any of that, and no one came to support him. Well, I wouldn't say nobody, but, you know, the majority of his supporters didn't come out. And it's because people, you know, most people don't vote Right, unless you're like politically hardcore, you don't vote. And in the caucuses, please, I've never voted in a fucking caucus, and I vote every, election without fail. Never voted in a caucus. It's just very like if you don't like take an interest in this, you know what I'm saying? Like basically he did it like he's approaching this the way a rich guy approaches doing anything. Like, and when I say rich guy, I mean someone who's had everything provided for them. Not some guy who's worked hard his entire life and is actually a good manager and knows how to get things done and knows how to manage people, right? Trump didn't do any of that. Trump just basically went on TV and said, I'm popular, and then used like newspaper polls and shit like that to say that, oh, I'm fucking, I'm the head of the polls, I'm going to win. That's not necessarily how it works, See, basically, he's just threw money at it and, said, this is what, people like him do. They throw money at something and then they think that it just mystically appears, So now he fucking, So now Trump is basically blaming Ted Cruz, saying that he cheated and some other shit like that. He's being a sore loser, essentially. And I think this says a lot about his character. It's like when it first turned out, right, and he turned out that he lost, he gave a very short speech. It's like, oh, well, I had fun here, blah, 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 and it was cool. And, that's fine. That's all he had to say, right? And then now he's, like, tweeting a bunch of, basically, in the news they're calling it a Trump tantrum or, something like that. Basically, he's throwing a temper tantrum is what he's doing. And, he's saying that Ted Cruz cheated, and he's saying that, Ted Cruz sent out a fucking email which apparently someone in his organization did, or one of his supporters did. Ted Cruz, like his organization, they sent out an email saying that Ben Carson dropped from the race, right? And some other shit, which is a dirty trick, But here's the thing: that's how the game is played. All right, Republicans are notorious for pulling dirty tricks like that. I mean, if you think that's bad, wait till the fucking actual election happens, There was a thing a few years ago, in fact, I made a video about this, where a couple of Republican vote, what were they, registers, right? A couple of guys were going out and registering people to vote, and they would, if you were to register with them, they would register you Republican. And they went and did this in Democratic areas so that people couldn't vote in the primaries, right? So, and it was all a trick to like defeat Hillary Clinton in 2008, shit like that. There's always dirty tricks coming, especially from the Republican Party. Like they'll do things like another thing I remember is where they would go into like say Latino areas and print out flyers saying that if you go to vote, then immigration officers are going to be at the voting booths and stuff like that, which is fucking ridiculous. Because if you think, illegal aliens can't vote anyway, right? Because it's fucking retarded. So it's supposed to scare people into not voting, like shit like that. You see those kinds of like dirty, underhanded tricks, and that shit happens all the fucking time. And it's like, here's the thing: Republicans don't give a fuck. Right, unless it happens to them. So he doesn't fucking care that stuff like this has happened in the past to everybody else. Like if that didn't affect him, he wouldn't care. But since it's like, since he lost, suddenly it's a big fucking crime. It's like, get the fuck out of here. And that's what it is. It's like his character. I think this says a lot about his character, and it's basically tells me that he's a despicable human being. Okay, and it's not just the way he reacts. I mean, there's lots of just the more and more that this campaign goes on, the more stuff comes out about him. Like, for example, one of his staffers is suing him for sexual discrimination, right? Which is, no fucking surprise here. That's something that came out the other day. He's, what else? Like, he basically doesn't give a shit about people, the whole thing where he skipped the debate. He said he was going to go and hold a rally and raise money for wounded warriors, right? But there was a news story that came out. Basically, if you go to the donate page and you donate money, it doesn't actually go to the wounded warriors. It goes to the Trump Foundation, right? Where basically they can just keep all of it. They're under no obligation to actually pay the Wounded Warriors anything, you know. And it's just very like deceitful. He's basically using them for like his political gain, you know. It's fucking bullshit, right? I mean, that's just the kind of guy like think about, you know, the president. What kind of person do you want as the president, right? Like, do you really want someone who is going to throw a fit if he doesn't get what he wants? You know, here's another example. Like, I read a story about how he was developing some land, and there was a guy who didn't want to like sell his house, so Donald Trump built a 30-foot fence around this guy's house, right, around his property, just to fuck with him, and then like charged him for the fence, right, and then basically held him up in court for years, you know, because he can do this because he's a billionaire, right? You basically, you know, the kind of guy that uses his money to just squash people, and it's fucking despicable, man. Like, I mean, think about Trump, you know, trying to negotiate with North Korea, you know, and how is he gonna react when he goes and like, you know, sits down next to fucking, you know, Kim Jong-un or whatever the fuck the kid's name is, and he doesn't get what he wants, you know? Is he gonna get up and walk away? Is he gonna build a 30-foot fucking fence around North Korea? I mean, seriously, think about him trying to negotiate with, you know, Cuba or Venezuela or fucking Russia. I mean, he's going to be a disaster is what it's going to be. They're going to laugh in his face, and then he's going to crawl away like a fucking, you know, butthurt little troll. Seriously, man. I mean, say what you want about Barack Obama, right? But Obama is a master negotiator. I mean, think about shit. He negotiated with Syria, got all their chemical weapons. You know, I mean, it's fucking... I don't know. Is this who you really want to be president? You know, really just think about it, because it matters, all right? It really matters who the president is. And we need someone who is, you know, intelligent, right? But more than that, we need someone who isn't a fucking spoiled, vindictive asshole. And that's what fucking Donald Trump is. So, and see, the thing is, I say this every time. So he lost, you know, this... He lost in Iowa, but Iowa's, first off, it's only the first caucus, right? And it's really not the most important caucus. So he could very well win. And he came in second place. So he really only got one delegate less than what Ted Cruz got, which, you know, says a lot about his personality, because he's only one delegate down and he's throwing a fucking fit. It's like, dude, you're like still basically in first place, you know? And it just blows me away. It's like how people can see all of this shit and still vote for this man. It's like, I mean, goddamn, dude. I don't know. Just please, for the love of God, for the love of everything that's fucking holy and good in this world, please don't vote for fucking Donald Trump. Adios, folks.